All right, it's day 31 of Muscle Music, a series in which I pick an album from this filter, I work out to it, and I give it my thoughts afterwards. And I only do albums I've never listened to before. So I've never listened to Master of Puppets. I'm sorry. Let's do. All right, we're back from playing some basketball, and I listened through Master of Puppets. So this is the only time I think I'm going to do this, but I feel like this album is way more fun when I'm doing something a bit more intense. So I'm going to re-listen to it next time I go to the gym, and we're going to see how it fares. All right, it's now day 2 of working out to Master of Puppets for some reason. I'm doing leg day. Let's go. I'm putting this album to the true test, leg day. If an album doesn't perform well while I'm doing leg day, then it's not a good album to work out to. So we'll see. All right, we're back from the gym. I did leg day today, so here are my full thoughts on Master of Puppets by Metallica. So I've never really been a huge Metallica guy in the first place. I always thought they were kind of dad rock-ish, even though they are more of the metal scene. And I understand their legend status, but I've just never been a big thrash metal guy. I think I joined the metal scene, or at least listening to metal, a little bit later when it was a bit more developed of a sound. I will say, though, I like more of like an alternative metal sound, something like Alice in Chains or like System of a Down. But yeah, in terms of newer metal scenes, I really like Nails. I just love their output. But that kind of style where it's just all in your face, something where if I'm at the gym and I'm listening to it, it's just so visceral and just puts me in a different mindset entirely. And I feel like I've tried to listen to Master of Puppets once before casually, and it just was not working with me. And that's what I did before this too. Like I put it on in my AirPods before I got to the gym listening to it, and I was just not into it. And when I got to play basketball, when I was a bit more higher energy, a bit more higher BPM, it was surprisingly really good. I think it's better when you're working out to it than it is just as a casual listening experience. And it's really interesting. This is the first time in this series where that's really hit me. Because usually it's the inverse. It's usually, oh, this album is very chill, or it just has a different vibe in general. But when you listen to it at the gym, it's not really the best. But when you're listening casually, it's much better. This is the complete opposite, so it's really strange for me. And I mentioned it before in this video, but I really wanted to see how it would fare with a more intense workout, because basketball, while it can be intense, it's really more of like a personal thing, and I don't really have a consistently high heart rate or doing a lot of muscle training. And I will say, for muscle training, this album was fantastic. Like, obviously there were some down moments in the production, but it was still pretty consistently like high energy throughout the whole thing, and I really appreciated that. I will say the scope of the album is really like powerful and epic as well, but it also has a lot more complexity than you would think for a thrash metal album. There's a lot of like delicate acoustic guitar sections, which I think is good to have, to add a little bit of depth and clarity in the track listing, so it's not just all in your face all the time. But if you're doing it for something high energy, then I think it's great. I will say, if you're not really into the sound or the style of this album, it's going to be a little tougher for you, just because there's only 8 tracks and it's about 55 minutes or so. So the shortest track is like over 5 minutes, and you have the longest track, which I think is Master of Puppets, the title track, which I loved, but it's, 8.5 minutes. I think they could have trimmed a little bit of it, but the fact that it is so grand and so epic, it kind of needs to be that long in a sense. But if you're not doing a super in-depth, like lyrical and musical deep dive where that's all you're focusing on, it's not really going to matter, because you're going to be putting your focus into other things like working out or going on walks or whatever. It's also incredibly tragic that this was the final album to feature Cliff Burton, who was their bassist at the time and was the only bassist they ever had for their first 3 albums. So rest in peace to him. He was in a bus accident while touring for the promotion of this album. So just incredibly tragic. I figured I should probably include that as well. Rest in peace. But yeah, I thought this album was pretty great. It's one of the first albums that I've done, at least for this show, where I kind of need to radiate the same energy that it's giving out, because it's so high energy, because of the metal genre that it finds itself in. I really need to work out to it to kind of find the same level of satisfaction, because if it's not, then I'm not really getting that. But yeah, it was a great album. Favorite tracks have to go to Master of Puppets. Obviously, that track is great. I loved Welcome Home Sanitarium. That track was great. As well as Disposable Heroes. That one was really, really good. I loved the back to the front shouts that he did on that. That was pretty great. So yeah, in terms of a rating, I'm probably gonna have to give it like a low to mid 8. I think I'm sitting right there for a ranking for me. Like and follow for more on This App Gets Banned. Goodbye.